the risk factors for genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity are higher than they've ever been in our lifetime. It's so important that people see what hate speech can do at its most extreme. Adolf Hitler, for example, created the Ministry of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment to completely change the landscape. And if you go through what that ministry was charged to do, was to lift the stereotypes and prejudices that exist in societies and move them into the space where they actually become incitement to violence, so that ordinary people then become enablers. I was recently in Auschwitz, Birkenau, where so many people met their deaths, and they were killed for the mere reason of belonging to an identity. Most of them belong to the Jewish community, and they were killed not because of anything that they did, but because they belonged to an identity. And killings based on identity, we've unfortunately seen them in other places too. In Rwanda, we do know that there was a genocide against the Tutsi, who were again targeted for killing just because they existed, for no other reason, just because they existed and existed as a specific identity. June 19th, 1993, there was an announcement that was put out on the radio. Rwandans will defend this country, and you are not Rwandans, you are cockroaches. So when I say genocides are planned, you can see the way hate speech is used, so that the populace begins to get used to the fact that there are people who are being described as cockroaches, and what you do to cockroaches is to kill them. And we know in Srebrenica, the Bosnian Muslims were targeted for killing just for the mere fact that they existed. They were killed for that. The leaders, they would be on national television and they would be speaking about the Bosnian Muslims, making reference to them as inferior. All these media spaces, newspapers, radio, television, were spaces that were used to put out the messaging, and we are conditioned to believe that what you watch on the TV is true, or what you hear on radio is true, or what you read in newspapers is true. And so when you hear on television a description of a people like the Bosnian Muslims who are described as inferior because they had converted to Islam, therefore they did not qualify as Slavs, then you see the power of hate speech. You see the connection between these ordinary stereotypes and how they can then morph and then become the hate speech that propels people to enable the killings. People who can stand up and deny that the Holocaust happened, despite all the evidence, people who can stand up and deny that the Srebrenica genocide happened, people who can deny that the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda happened, not only are they propagating hate speech, but they are in essence preparing for another genocide. So we must take them very, very seriously. It should be important that states go out of their way to build capacity for any basic citizen to distinguish right from wrong in regard to the targeting of any identity group. There needs to be a very, very strong consciousness by government that if there was ever a time that anything could go wrong, it is now. And that all this evidence needs to be packaged and taught in schools, and not taught only in schools of law, but taught as basic knowledge that human beings need to understand that we have the capacity to get to the edge, and therefore We need to build insurance in ourselves so that we do not get to the edge. We are countering hate speech. Countering hate speech is not just a phrase, it's a practical measure to stop hate speech, because hate speech in its worst, ultimate form gets us to cross over into the threshold of incitement to violence, and then that's how genocides happen.